Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. The market is much calmer this week now that we got past the big shopping weekend. You do see a lot of cards moving up between $1 and $2, but the amount of cards moving significantly is down. In this video today, we're going to have a $2 threshold. We're not going to talk about any card unless it's moving up or down at least $2. When it comes to what's happening, well, new commander builds are coming out of Innistrad Crimson Vow, and that is still the key driver for card prices in the secondary market right now. But there's other stuff happening too, which you'll see throughout the video. Quickly, before we get into the details, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pick up Innistrad Crimson Vow products, and they have a whole lot of other things on their website as well. Remember, if your order is over $100 or it consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. Also, whenever you use the promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to begin, as we always do, with the Standard Legal Spotlight, and this is where we talk about the standard legal cards that are moving the most this week, two to discuss, one going down and one going up. The first card is Necro Duality. It goes down $2.80 to $20.09, one of those mythic rares from Crimson Vow, still trying to find its price point. This is in the standard Dimir Zombies build, but you don't see a lot of that deck in the meta right now. You see a lot more of the mono black zombie deck. When it comes to Commander, this is in a number of zombie builds there. It is a good upgrade to Undead Unleashed, and it has been in a lot of fresh Wilhelt the Rock Cleaver builds as well. And finally, for this section, we have the Meat Hook Massacre back again. It goes up $2.29 this week to $44.53, and this card is seeing a lot of play. Let's talk about Standard first. This is an Orzhov, Dimir, Esper, Golgari, and Grixis control. It's also in Mono Black Zombies and more. Pioneer, you'll see this in Jund as well as 5-color Yorion, and it is a good commander card too in a lot of different decks. Again, this is a good upgrade to Undead Unleashed and can be found in fresh builds around Wilhelt. Additionally now, this is in a lot of Toxtrol the Corrosive builds, and to a lesser degree, Edgar Charmed Groom. And that takes us to the Pioneer Legal Spotlight. We have a few cards going down in value, just one going up in value. First card going down in value is Stomping Ground. This is the original one from Guild Pact. It's down $2 to $17.75. Now, Shocklands do see a lot of play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander, but they also have a lot of recent printings. As a matter of fact, they're all getting reprinted again next year in Unfinity, and Wizards recently showed us what those copies are going to look like, which could have brought more attention to these reprintings in general, especially to casual fans that don't follow the news all the time. And here's another one, the original Watery Grave from Return to Ravnica goes down $201 to $19.50. Interesting that this one is going down this much though, even though yes, it is getting reprinted again very soon, but it does fall into a lot of commander decks that have been popular recently. Those include Wilhelt and Toxtrol, as well as Runo Stromkirk / Crothus Lord of the Deep, and Umbrous Sphere Manifest. Sorin Imperious Bloodlord is next. It goes down $2.84 to $30, and this card was hot recently due to the push vampires did get from Crimson Vow, as well as the Vampiric Bloodline Commander deck, but now it is retracting a little bit as you can see. In Pioneer, this is in Orzhov Vampires. Modern, you'll see this in Smallpox. Commander, of course, this is getting a lot more play there now in Edgar Markov. It's also a good upgrade to Vampiric Bloodline, and it's in fresh builds around Strefan Mauer Progenitor from there. Also, it's in other new builds from the main set, things like Edgar Charmed Groom, Anyi Maid of Dishonor, and Olivia Crimson Bride. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, down $2.90 this week to $55. Now, this card got hot not too long ago. Since then, it has been steadily going down. We've seen it in these videos a number of times in the last couple months. It does still see a good amount of play, though. Pioneer, it's in Mono Green Ramp. Modern, it's in Mono Green as well as Mono Blue Tron, sometimes Eldrazi Tron too. In Legacy, it's in Mono Green Cloud Post, and it is even seeing increased commander play now too in a couple new builds. Umbrous Sphere Manifest, as well as Jacob Hauken Inspector / Hauken's Insight. Alright, the last card in this section is going up. It is Sire of Stagnation. It goes up $2.19 this week to $9.13, and this is seeing a lot more commander play now thanks to Crimson Vow. First and foremost, you're seeing this in Umbrous Sphere Manifest decks. It can also show up in builds around Runo, as well as Toxtrol. And that relatively quickly takes us to the Modern Legal Spotlight. Again, we have some cards going down in value, some going up in value. Let's see the cards that are trending down first. We have Cabal Coffers from Plane Chase. It goes down $2.45 this week to $28.17. Now, this has been soft ever since it was reprinted in Modern Horizons 2, and sure, that printing did make it modern legal, but it hasn't really seen a whole lot of play there. It does continue to see a lot of Commander play, however. You will find this in Will Help builds, and again, many are getting this just to upgrade Undead Unleashed out of the box. It's also in some Alper Markov decks, which, as you know, are very popular right now. Plus, you will find this in a number of new builds, too, around some Crimson Vow cards again. Things like Toxrill, Umbris, Runo, and Olivia Crimson Bride. Blood Moon from 9th edition is down 257 to 2243. Now, this was added to the list with Crimson Vow. It's also in the Mischief Secret Lair, so those additional copies could be having an impact on the price here. It does see a lot of play still. Modern, it's in Murktide Regent, Gruul Midrange, Crashing Footfalls, and much more. Legacy, it's in Sneak and Show, Blood Moon Aggro, Goblins, and Temur Cascade. Plus, it does get some Commander play, many times in Krenko Mob Boss, for example. Snapcaster Mage from Innistrad goes down $3.49 this week to $50.82. Now, this was added to the list with an Innistrad Midnight Hunt, which could be part of the reason it's going down in value, because remember, now it's there for a second set with Crimson Vow. But it is worth noting that another copy of this card is moving up in value, and you're going to see it very shortly. The fact of the matter is, even though, yes, it's a little easier to get copies, it doesn't necessarily mean that the list is throwing tons of copies out there, and this card does see a lot of play. In Modern, is it in Grixis Control, plus much more. Legacy, it's in 4-color Control, Jeskai Stoneblade, and more there. Vintage, you'll see this in Azorius Standstill. And in Commander, it gets some play too, even more now in Grolnok the Omnivore builds. Chalice of the Void for Masters 25. Now, this particular copy of the card has been super turbulent. It was going up again last week. This week it's going down again. It is down 560 to 7139. This has been a huge Modern sideboard card in the post-Modern Horizons 2 meta, and it can even show up in the main deck at times. It also continues to be a solid card in Legacy and Vintage, plus it gets a little Commander play too. Solitude. Now, this card has been jumping around a lot too. It gained a lot of value not too long ago because it sees a ton of play. But then it did retract a little bit, tried to find its price point. Last week it jumped up again with the Black Friday sales. Now it is going back down. This week down 11 to $53.99. Like I said, this card feels like it's all over the place in Modern. It's in 4-color Blink, Azorius Control, 4-color Omnith, Reanimator, 4-color Elementals, Death and Taxes, and more. Legacy, it's in Death and Taxes. Even gets a little Commander play too in various builds. Okay, now for the cards going up in value in this section. Wrenn and 6, the copy from the list is up $2.98 to $117.77. It was on the list through Kjell time. Now, when Wizards revealed that we would see Double Masters in 2022, they did show the art from this card, so a reprint is coming. And that has kept the value of this as well as the Modern Horizons copy relatively stable. But this is another big Modern card, and if players need to build a deck today, they need to grab copies of this thing. In Modern, it's in 4-color Blink, Jund, 4-color Omnith, Gruul Midrange, Indomitable Creativity, and much more. It is banned in Legacy, but in Vintage you see this in Temur Control. Commander, it's in Lord Windgrace and other builds there too. As promised, here's the other Snapcaster Mage, the one from Modern Masters 2017. It goes up $3 to $58.48. By the way, one other thing about this card, it was on the Command Zone podcast this week. Don't know if it had much of an influence considering we saw another copy going down in value, but just worth noting. Hunted Phantasm, this goes up $334 to $650, and this one is seeing increased Commander play, and you guessed it, Toxrill builds. Terminate, the copy from the list, goes up $366 to $14.96, and it was on the list through Kjell time. This copy of the card has been popular. It does use the art from the Magic Player Rewards copy, and even though there's been a lot of other copies of this reprinted even recently, this one still can gain a little bit of traction now and then. When it comes to gameplay, sure, it sees a lot of play. In Modern, it's in Grixis Death Shadow, Rakdos Luris, Grixis Control, and more. This is also seeing some additional Commander play now too. It is a good upgrade to Vampiric Bloodline. And again, others are putting this in fresh builds around Strephon. Also, I've seen this in Olivia Crimson Bride decks too. And finally for this section, we have Blinkmoth Infusion. This goes up $626 to $1025. And the main reason this is moving is because of a Modern deck, Calibrated Blast. That deck has been going 5-0 in a number of Modern leagues in MTGO, so it has been gaining popularity. This also does get a little Commander play in Yuriko the Tiger Shadow builds and more. And that takes us to the Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about cards that see play in Legacy, Vintage, 93, 94, or cards that are just popular among collectors. Remember, in this section of the video, the prices you see on the screen are going to be very reminiscent of what you might see on a price tracking website. And when you do use those price tracking websites for the older, more iconic vintage cards, the price you're seeing is typically somewhere in between a high-grade raw and high-grade graded copy value. So just keep that in mind as we proceed through this section. However, if there is a price that does not feel in line with recent sales, I will point that out. Only one revised dual land today. It is Bayou. It's going up 284 to 589.48. Time Spiral is up 309 to 199.99. This is in Legacy High Tide. This is also getting a little increased commander play in Fresh Millicent Restless Revenant builds. And it is expensive, but if you have a copy, it is a decent upgrade to Spirit Squadron. Intuition from Tempest goes up 411 this week to 184.10. Another card that you will find in Legacy High Tide. It is also seeing increased commander play in some Grolnok decks. Gabriel Angelfire from Legends. This goes up $11.15 to $57. Verduran Enchantress from Unlimited. It goes up $11.18 to $86.92. As a matter of fact, all the rest of the white border cards in this section are from Unlimited, so I won't keep saying that. Just know if you see a white border card, it's from that set. Winter Blast from Legends is up $11.55 to $66.74. Zombie Master. This goes up $12.52 to $50. Now, other copies of this card have been popular recently ever since Midnight Hunt came out, as well as the Undead Unleashed Commander deck. But when it comes to older copies of the card like this one, they tend to have a life of their own outside of gameplay, just because of their rarity. Olivares Carpet. This is up $20.02 to $189.99. Rock Hydra. This is up $25.50 to $99.49. Mishra's Factory. The Antiquities Spring variant is up $13.59 to $95.99. The Antiquities Summer variant is up $32.14 to $182.61. Now, again, these older cards typically aren't really tied into gameplay when it comes to price movement too much, but I do think it's interesting that there's 4 copies of this in the modern deck Calibrated Blast. Berserk is up $39.20 to $199.99. Word of Command up $50 to $449.99. Bad Moon up $57.25 to $138.14. Pyramids up $67.36 to $417.98. Cockatrice, this goes up $69.20 to $169.19. Stasis up $70.19 to $262.36. Again, now maybe this jump is not related because it is from Unlimited, but it was mentioned in the Command Zone podcast this week as a card that can combo with Derevi Empirical Tactician and some other cards you could put in that build. Wrath of God up $92.14 to $200.47. King Suleiman, this goes up $132.04 to $350. Time Vault. Now this one's going up $692.51 this week to $2,592.50. Is that price for real? Well, I have seen high-grade raw copies sell for about $1,400. I have not seen a high-grade graded copy sell for a while, but when one does, I could see it selling for around this price point. And finally, for this section, I wanted to include a card we could all afford. It is Black Lotus, going up $3,990 to $25,350. Okay, maybe we can't afford that. Anyway, so when it comes to Power 9, these ups and downs are usually tied into the grades of the copies for sale that week. There's just obviously not many of these selling at any given time. And that brings us to the Commander Spotlight. All these cards are moving at least in part because of Commander, but in some cases there could be other reasons too, and I'll let you know as we go through. Mephedros Vampire. This is up $2.01 to $9.98. There is a little Commander interest in this card due to the push Vampires received, which we talked about earlier. This is showing up sometimes in Olivia Crimson Bride decks, for example, in Commander. Bloodstained Mire. This original Onslaught copy creeping up a little, going up $2.11 to $92.44. Now this does fit into the very popular Edgar Markov Commander builds, but obviously this is in many decks in Commander, as well as Modern and Legacy. The Commander copy of Rexiel the Risen Deep is the one that's moving up this week. It goes up $2.12 to $11.95. This is a fairly popular Commander, and it is in the 99 of other builds too, but now it is seeing more Commander play in Runo and to a lesser degree Toxrill. Olivia Voldaren. This Innistrad copy is still climbing up $2.15 to $24. Another card moving because of the vampire support I mentioned earlier. It is a fairly popular vampire commander and can be found in Edgar Markov builds as well. Plus it is another good upgrade to Vampiric Bloodline, and I have seen this in fresh builds around Strephon as well. On top of that, it's another new commander deck list too, like Olivia Crimson Bride. Mystic Gate. That Shadowmoor copy is moving up again, up $2.20 this week to $38.71. This is a solid commander mana base card, and it is seeing some more play now. Some are getting this to upgrade Spirit Squadron, and others are putting this in fresh builds around Millicent. But it really was Modern that sparked the interest in this card a number of weeks ago. You'll find this in Azorius Jeskai Esper as well as Bant Control there. Dust to Dust. This is the original copy from the Dark. It's going up $2.39 this week to $7.07. Now, this particular copy is dry online this week. It does see a tad bit of Commander play, but it really became a very popular Pauper card when Modern Horizons 2's Indestructible Artifact lands pushed the affinity builds in that format. Fast forward to this past week when there was a discussion about this particular card on an MTG Finance message board. Of course, that discussion revolved around the fact that a lot of Pauper players are picking up this card, and that maybe this original copy could be going up in value shortly after the price started moving up. Chrome Mox, this is the copy from Double Masters. It goes up $2.51 this week to $70.55. Now, this gets a lot of Commander play in various decks, including Urza Lord High Artificer. I am seeing this show up in some Toxrill builds now, too. In Legacy, you'll see it there. It's in Curses, Oops All Spells, The Epic Gamble, Blood Moon Aggro. Also, this did get a Command Zone podcast mention this week as well. Kira Great Glass Spinner, the copy from Jumpstart moving the most this week. It's up $2.74 to $10.90. This is another one seeing more Commander play now because it is a good upgrade to Spirit Squadron, and other players are putting this in fresh builds around Millicent. Also, it's in Modern Banned Spirits. There he is, Edgar Markov. We talked about him a lot today. This copy from Commander 2017 is going up $3.15 to $112.48. It's only found in foil. Now, there is a reprint of this card coming, but it is a Judge foil, so there's not going to be a lot of new copies getting infused into the marketplace. By now, you already know that Crimson Vow's Vampire support has really pushed this already previously popular Vampire Commander. It was seeing a lot of play, now it's seeing even more, and it did get a Command Zone podcast mention this week too. Fork from Revised. Now, copies of this got a little dry online this week. It goes up $3.72 to $68.11. This does get a little Commander play in various decks. And finally for this section, we have the Sliver Lord that is on the reserve list. It is Sliver Queen, going up $12.61 this week to $359. So yeah, you can use this, of course, as a Sliver Commander, but more often you see this as part of the 99 around another Sliver Commander, like Sliver Overlord, for example. And that takes us to the premium spotlights, and as you know, there's always a lot of premium cards moving up in value any given week, but I don't like to spend a lot of time talking about cards that are just dry for the week, or cards that are the target of a buyout. I try to choose some of the premium cards that are moving because of something that's going on. Maybe they are seeing more gameplay, maybe a preview card pushed them, something along those lines. Now, much like the vintage section, the prices you're going to see in this section are very reminiscent of what you might see on a price tracking website, because again, you don't get a lot of sales for these cards typically. However, after I show you the theoretical price, I'll point out what I'm seeing when it comes to true sales. First, we have Blinkmoth Infusion. This is the foil copy from Fifth Dawn. It goes up $12.25 this week to $22.87. So is that for real? Well, high-grade raw copies have sold for about $12 to $15. But considering the spike we've seen with the non-foil copies of the card, I would expect future sales to be higher. So this price isn't out of the question. I did see a high-grade graded copy sell for $80, but that is unusual because you typically don't see a lot of these cards graded. Maybe that will change in the future if it continues to gain popularity. And our last card is another Fifth Dawn foil. It is Mephedros Vampire. In theory, going up $167.13 to $197.63. Is that for real at all? Well, let me start off by saying this. Copies of this are really, really hard to find. This price is more reflective of asking price since not many of these have sold. Now, I do think the asking prices are too high, but sellers may be trying to stay ahead of the spike. Many times they'll post a card with a really high price because they want to fish for offers, and when they get a reasonable offer, they'll accept it. When it comes to true sales, the few high-grade raw copies that I saw sell were approaching $20. Again, I would expect future sales to be higher, but probably not this high. Alright, that does it for this episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. If you stuck around with me, hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Until next time, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.